ago, and I told you that New York City Outward Bound was going to milk our 20th anniversary theme for all it's worth. I wasn't kidding. It's 2 years later, and we're still sounding the theme, and I bet you can't wait to see how we integrate it. Yeah, I'm actually feeling quite overwhelmed. You know, there's been all the fuss about my 20th anniversary. It's very flattering, very humbling, and it's left me feeling more than a little emotional, a little raw at the edges. And what Bob alluded to, but was the case yesterday, was that over the last couple of days, I've been feted every which way by Bob and.
All right, that's the end of the drink.
That's the end. Somebody, my mother will hold this drink. It's been a problem. But really fed it every which way. Bob was part of it, Arthur was part of it, other board members, other staff, and just other friends, people who've meant a lot to me and to New York City Outward Bound over the last 20 years. And to be recognized with such caring and affection and depth of feeling and I have to say creativity, it's incredibly special. And as I started out saying, it's overwhelming. So if I'm not at the top of my game this evening, you'll understand that. You know, what I'm tempted to say is that I'm grateful beyond words, except that's not entirely true. And what I actually want to do is to take a few minutes to thank some of the people who've made the last 2 decades for me so rewarding and so special. And I'd like to do that through using as my point of reference really a central feature of Outward Bound's approach to teaching and learning, something that I've seen in action and experienced myself countless times over the last 20 years. And that's the mix of challenge and support, the push and the pull that Outward Bound uses so effectively, whether that's in the wilderness or in the classroom, to help people achieve more than they thought possible. And you know, people often talk about the magic of Outward Bound, and you know, what's that ineffable quality that it makes it such a powerful form of teaching and learning. And when I hear that word magic, what I think they're referring to is that distinctive alchemy of challenge and support that Outward Bound uses to help people give their best effort to do their best work, to be their best selves. And when I think about my 20 years, one of the things that I'm most grateful for is that I've been the recipient and the beneficiary from so many times, from so many people of that alchemy. So I think, for example, of each of the board chairs that I've had really the privilege and the honor of working with, Bill Phillips, George Miles, and Arthur Sulzberger, not just once, but twice in that role, I've had the pleasure, and Jeff Warden, and Mark Abramowitz, and now Bob Miller. And each of those individuals have really pushed me and our organization to ever greater heights. And each of them has also supported me and our organization every step of the way. And that's not just true for the board chairs, it's true for the board as a whole. And I have always continue to think that our board of directors is one of New York City Outward Bound's greatest assets. And I will always be grateful to each and every board member who has served and is currently serving as a board member. And I think too, as I look out in this room, I think of the principals and the teachers of the schools in the New York City Outward Bound network. It's so terrific to see so many teachers and principals here. And I think of the staff of New York City Outward Bound. And I am enormously grateful to all of you for being the ones who bring that special alchemy to students every day, and for doing it with the skill and the passion that you do it. And I think also of the other schools and the other community-based organizations that we work with, our national partner, Expeditionary Learning Schools, our local partner, the New York City Department of Education, and just all the other people in this room and who I've worked with over the last 20 years who've been friends and supporters of New York City Outward Bound and made it possible for us to perform that alchemy. So in a couple of minutes, I'm gonna give a few awards: our Compass Roads Award and our Founders Award, as a way of really recognizing some of the alchemists in our midst. And maybe I'll stop using the alchemy, but not yet. But before I do that, there's actually one person that I want to thank, and frankly, I couldn't think of how to make this whole challenge, support, alchemy construct work for her. And that person is my wife. And, let me just say, I couldn't imagine doing this work without her. And virtually, when I took this job, I think maybe the first thing I did was to cancel a vacation that we had planned to Maine. And that was the first of many times work has intruded on our lives. But Carolyn didn't complain then, and she hasn't complained since. Maybe a little bit. And I would say she's been incredibly supportive and patient and endlessly loving, and that's because she knows that the work that I do is important to me, and she's seen firsthand that it's important to the young people of the city of New York and their public schools. So I'd like to raise my glass to my wife, Carolyn. I forgive the indulgence, but I can't resist one other personal note, and that is, Dad, it's a particular joy to see you here. It's a few weeks ago I wouldn't have imagined that to be possible, and you're amazing, and you're an amazing role model, and Mom, you are too.